Welcome back to This Week in Hockey here on 101 ESPN. Alex Ferrario with you. A little preview of tonight's alumni game as it's the Blues alumni against NHL alumni. Of course, kicking off this All-Star weekend here in downtown St. Louis. And Terry Yake back in St. Louis, back in the building, back on the ice, and my former co-host on pre- and post-game shows. Terry, it's great to see you, buddy.
It is. We did a lot of great late season games, and then we had some good playoff runs there for a while.
We did.
I really wish we would have been doing it last year when we won the Cup.
I was going to say, we missed it by 1 year.
We missed it by that much.
But how much more fun was it for you to watch it and listen to it and live it rather than broadcast or be in charge? Because you were running the alumni suite in games. There was a lot more duties for you to where now you could just enjoy it.
Certainly, there was a lot more to it. I mean, I think it would have been fun no matter where you were. But when you've got 7 to 8 years of your life invested in a hockey club, that's post-playing and post-living in the city. This is just like actually working for the organization. It meant an awful lot to me. And to come back, and I came back for almost, from California, came back for almost all the home games.
Yeah.
Actually went to a game in San Jose, the big game that they won Game 5 after the controversial, series tied up and everything. The Blues were, it was something else to watch, and I was really disappointed we didn't pull it off in Game 6 because I was here
right
in town. But the fact that they got the job done in Game 7, I don't think you can describe the feeling. I was sitting on my couch just like screaming up and down, and like every person in St. Louis probably. I went out and honked my horn the next time I drove by. There was actually some fans in California that had Blues banners on their doors and hanging outside, and went by, knocked on their door, and just yelled, and they came out. So it was a lot of fun.
So explain to our listeners a little bit, Yaker, because you weren't drafted by the Blues. You came into the NHL on a different team. It was a couple of teams before you found your way to St. Louis. But why is it that when you play in St. Louis or when you become a Blue, it's so hard to break away from that?
You know what? That's a really good question because, I think everybody has a different reason, but a lot of them, they say the same thing. And I know it sounds cliche to say it, but it really has to do with the people.
Yeah.
It has to do with the town and the people because they are great people here. I enjoyed being in Anaheim. It was a great year for me and everything, but traffic, smog, the cost of living made it kind of prohibitive for me to go back there post-retirement. St. Louis didn't have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the traffic's not near as bad as it is in California or some of the big cities. Cost of living was much better. The people were friendly. One of the things I tell people all the time is when you meet a fan in St. Louis, they shake your hand and say, it's nice to meet you and good luck tomorrow if you're playing in the game. If you're in Toronto or in New York, they drive you up the wall, okay? They ask for an autograph. They follow you around town, and you have no peace.
And they say, you better not suck tomorrow night.
True. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you're in Hartford, which I didn't mind myself, nobody even knows who you are.
Right.
So in Anaheim, it was kind of a mix of in between. So it's a lot of fun being here because it's like every time I put my credit card down at a store when I was playing here, they knew who I was, what I was doing,
right.
And they knew you had a game the next night, but they didn't bother you.
Right.
And I think the respect that people have for the athletes in this town, both baseball and hockey, I think goes a long ways, and I think a lot of guys just love coming back and staying here.
Is that why the alumni group, in my opinion, is one of the best in the National Hockey League? And I know a bunch of guys...
We are the best now because of the locker room in this building. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to that. The locker room, especially when it comes to the Blues alumni and the NHL alumni. But, when you were a player and you saw that alumni group, and now that you're a part of the alumni group, and from the player's perspective, like that's something really special that you can be a part of, isn't it? To think of the names like Al McInnes, Chris Pronger, Bruce Affleck, Bobby Plager, but then some of the guys who are still around like yourself, Kelly Chase, Reed Lowe, Cam Jansen, the guys that stick around so much, that's part of it where you really want to embrace it, don't you?
Yeah, and it means a lot to us that guys stick around. We have Alex Brooks and Matt Lashoff played in the NHL, are living here as well. Andy McDonald, he could have gone anywhere. He made plenty of money in his
Won the
career.
Stanley Cup with Anaheim.
With Anaheim, decided to stay here because of his family and his kids. And then when you've got the Hall of Famers on top of that, Holly back here, McInnes and Pronger and Fedorko, those guys did play a long portion of their career here, but they decided to retire here. They didn't go back to Canada in their hometowns. They didn't go back to other teams that they played for. Holly won Stanley Cups in Dallas and Detroit, and he's living in St. Louis. It means a lot to us as players, especially those of us who played with them and grew up admiring them and looking up to these guys. But the opportunity to be able to brush shoulders with them on a day-to-day basis, even if they don't come out to our alumni skates because, they don't skate on a regular basis, or they don't always, or they're not at every golf tournament or whatever our events might be. It's nice to have them around because they're almost always at big events like this, whether it be the Winter Classic or this All-Star game, and you saw them all throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. So it's nice to know they're around, and they bring a lot of clout to our association, which is now, to me, one of the best in the league because we've tried to take it to the next level.
Without a question. Again, we're talking with Terry Yake a couple more minutes. All right, Yaker, let's get to the on-ice stuff. Does this feel like what it felt like in that Winter Classic alumni game?
Very similar, yes. I think the guys for the a Winter Classic game spent a little more time getting in shape, though.
Understandably so.
We had Walt and Holly skating for like a month before the game, and realizing, wait, we're going to be playing in front of 45,000 people. I better skate a little bit.
Better go out there and actually do something.
Yeah. So, and those guys, unfortunately, whether it be health issues or whatever, are not playing today, but all the guys that are playing, it looks like everybody skates, including Red Berenson at what
80
age?
Years old.
They said 80. I can't believe it.
Can you believe 80
There's no
years
way
old?
he's 80. He doesn't look anywhere close to 80.
I don't think
but he's going to go out there, and you watch, he won't look out of place at all.
If he scores 6 goals again tonight, I think we should go just as crazy with that one like he did against the Philadelphia Flyers.
So it's quite a thing to see that some of these guys are still keeping themselves in that kind of condition and still love the game enough to put the skates on a regular basis.
All right, you're on the alumni side. I've seen the NHL roster side. They got a lot of big guys out there. You got a lot of skill on your side. Who's got the edge?
Wow, I think if the referees call the penalties, I think it's us. If we play a 90s-style game, it's going to be a lot more even than it should be.
If it's a 90s-style game, you have one guy who will take on the whole team, right? Number 55.
Right.
Yaker won't be afraid to drop the Mets.
No, I'll be sitting on the bench clapping my hands for him.
Oh, good. You'll be talking to us then.
That's right.
That'll be
right.
perfect.
Go, Cam, go.